Hello, people of the world, and welcome back on the Marry in Motion podcast. In this episode, I want to take you with me and my friends, Arthur, Lison, and Montaigne, on a 3-day hike along the coast of Normandy. So this time it's not about long-term travel or some travel super far away from home, but it's about resilience. It's about a sporty event, it's about going beyond what we thought we could, and it's about preparation for a longer trip. So it was our first long distance hike for most of us, full of lessons and wrong turns. We did this hike a few months ago, so it's still fresh in my mind, and the idea was quite simple. At first, we just wanted to be outdoors and enjoy a long weekend of 4 days all together with friends. We all like to hike, we all like to challenge ourselves, so we thought, let's do something, but we didn't know what.
My first reaction when we say that we were going to hike, I was really happy because hiking is something I like very much.
The first plan was to hike from Grenoble to Chambéry, but actually we wanted to do this because we all met in Grenoble and we still had some friends there that could host us and that could be a starting point. But then after some discussion, our friend in Grenoble couldn't host us anymore and he couldn't participate, so then we thought that it was a bit far away from everyone. Montaigne lives in Paris, I live in Brussels, Arthur and Lison live in Le Mans. So Grenoble was very far away from everyone. So then we switched our idea to the Tour de Belle-Île, which is in Normandy and which is basically just walking around a super pretty island. But because we never planned so much in advance and because we changed plans last minute, nothing was available in Belle-Île because you cannot do wild camping. You have to camp in an official campsite and all of them were fully booked. So we couldn't go there anymore. So we thought, and so we had to improvise, and Arthur actually comes from Le Mans, but his whole family is in Normandy next to the Mont Saint Michel. That's what we ended up deciding almost last minute to go to the Mont Saint Michel. It was reassuring too because it was our first ever trek, so if something went wrong, Arthur had some family almost everywhere we were going.
I was a bit scared because at first we said that we would do a hike between Grenoble and Chambéry, and I knew that my body would not be able to follow, and so I was a bit scared. But when we said that we were going to do a smaller one, I was really pleased because I really wanted to have such an experience.
So as I said, we had a few days off from Thursday, May 1st to Sunday. So I arrived from Brussels on Wednesday evening and I slept in Le Mans. We all met there for the beginning of our trip. So Arthur had done the grocery shopping, which really I thank him so much for that because it was very hard. I noticed afterwards to just plan everything that everyone would eat, having something nourishing but still light in the backpack. We had to carry the food for 3 days, so we had to think a lot what we would take, if we would take the gas bottles to heat up our food, if we would eat only cold food. Everything had to be thought of and he did that, so thank you.
It was not really well organized for a trip like that. I was a bit scared about forgetting something.
So we met the evening before and we distributed the weight in all the backpacks. So we tried to have a weight that was even for everyone or to have it according to our level of strength, I would say, because Arthur is more experienced and Lison was a bit less, so he might have had a few more kilos and Lison less. And we realized that actually it was quite heavy to carry the tents, the sleeping bags, the clothes, the food. Everything at the end adds up and it does a lot of volume and weight.
For sure, I was a bit scared of a few things. I was scared to not be able to follow you. I was scared to not be able to do the hike entirely. But I was also scared to suffer. So yeah, I was a bit scared of a few things.
After a good night of sleep, on Thursday morning we left early and we drove to the Mont Saint Michel, where we dropped our car and then we took a train to Granville and we started our hike on the GR223. When we organized the stages and where we would sleep, we had just looked on the internet where would people sleep usually when they would do this trek, and so we booked approximately in the same cities. But also it was quite hard to have a detailed map of the distances because you had to pay for the website to have the exact distances of the track. So we guessed the kilometers, and sometimes we had some surprises because when you book in the same city as what some people did, it's not always super close, especially when you are on foot. Sometimes we had to walk way more than what was planned because we just booked at the outskirts of the city and it was not on the track and it was completely on the other side of the city. So it worked, but sometimes it was a bit challenging. The first day was full of enthusiasm. The sun was out, we were fresh, and we started walking. We had planned to walk about 20 kilometers, and also everything was planned to be flat, but we ended up walking on the beach. We ended up going up some hills, which we didn't really expect. And also the weight of the bag started to feel very heavy. And for some of us, it was starting to be very hard.
I didn't think it would be that hard because I'm used to go hiking in the Alps, for example, during summers. So I really thought I was prepared. But in reality, it wasn't the same effort at all because first I had to carry my clothes, food, everything to live for 3 days. And plus, the days were very long.
I knew it would be hard, but maybe not that hard.
The first day also was quite short because we spent the whole morning driving to our starting point, taking the train. We also ate before starting to walk, so we just had half a day to do 20 kilometers. But we also didn't hurry, so we were having some breaks, enjoying the views, and then it started to become dark and we were still super far away from the place we would sleep that night. So it felt quite stressful at the end because we were so tired. It was night and we had to still walk and we didn't know when it would end. Arthur was leading the map and he would not lie, but he would try to hide the truth from us that we still had a lot to walk.
Because I was leading, by reading the map, I missed the way and I felt quite bad because I didn't want to push them to do something they didn't enjoy. I was really relieved when we arrived at the end of the day.
And we never knew when it would stop. So I see us just walking in those hills by the sunset. Everything felt so long. Also at one point we took the wrong turn right before arriving. So we thought we would arrive in like 5 minutes and actually we arrived maybe 10 minutes later. 10 minutes may seem not a lot, but if you would have seen our state, you would have understood that 10 minutes was everything for us.
I think everybody saw what I felt when we realized that the path was going to be much longer. It was a mix of feelings. I was angry, tired, and I would say maybe a little sad because I didn't know if I would be able to finish it and which condition I would be. It was really hard to know that we were going to do much more than what I thought. So I preferred to walk alone for a bit. And then at the end of the first day, I was happy that we did it. And I think it was the middle of the walk that was really hard when really we realized that we had much more to do.
The first evening we arrived at our campsite, we were so tired, we just laid on the grass and we didn't want to put our tents and everything. But finally we did it because there was some rain expected, so we really wanted to do it before the rain. So we discovered a bit our tents because it was some lawns. We were not really used to them, but actually it was very easy. Then we had some hot shower. It was the best thing ever. And we had some food. The food was quite bland. We had some rice, I think, with some patties. At that moment, it felt like the best food ever. During the middle of our meal, it started to rain, so we quickly went to bed and slept so heavily. We were so tired. On day 2, after a surprisingly good night, we woke up feeling strong again, full of energy. The morning was beautiful. We woke up early. It was fresh, nice, and we started walking. We didn't have so much pain from the day before, so we were so happy. We even ran the first meters and we were jumping around. We had a very good morning. We had also a very good view on the Mont Saint Michel, so it was so nice to see our goal getting closer. But after lunch, the vibe changed. I think maybe we took a long pause, and afterwards it was so hard to move. And also the path was not so interesting. It was not so pretty. We didn't see the Mont Saint Michel anymore. It was discouraging to not see it anymore, and we felt like we were moving away from it because actually we were walking along the bay. So yeah, we were getting closer, but at the same time we were getting farther away. At some point, we took a very long detour along a river. This was very unplanned because we didn't pay for the distances, the exact distances. I think when we calculated it was very different, but there was actually a river and there was no bridge to cross it. So we had to walk along the river until there was a bridge, and then we had to walk back along the river again. And it was so frustrating to see all of those kilometers we were doing and we had to do back again in the other direction. We even thought about crossing the river, but it was like in Normandy, the sand is very squishy and very wet, and if you go inside, you can just get stuck and it can be very dangerous. So we quickly changed our mind, but it was very tempting to cross. And then we were just walking and walking and walking, and we also didn't have water at some point, so we stopped in a field, and Arthur just took our bottles and ran to the closest cemetery where he could get water. I really thank him because he really supported us. We were all so tired and so weak that he really made the most to help us. And then again, we walked so much longer than expected. We almost walked 28 kilometers that day, which was again not planned, and we walked most of them in the afternoon. At the beginning we did some regular breaks, but then we were just like, no, we have to keep going if we want to get there before the end of the night. This day was really the hardest mentally. We arrived at the campsite, we were completely drained, our feet were hurting so much. We couldn't stand, we were walking so weirdly. It was awful. And I think that day was the day I had the most pain in my life. Like the few kilometers before we arrived, I was just walking, not thinking about anything, just dissociating from my body and being like, okay, one step in front of the other. And it was so hard, really. But I think if I would have taken a break, it would have been the end of me. I could not go back again. But really, it was the worst pain. You just have such a deep pain that if you stop, it will not just go away. It will just stay and maybe get worse. It's a pain that is everywhere. You have your back aching, your shoulders because of the backpack, you have your feet mostly, the legs, everything hurts. But then you arrive at the campsite and you lay on the ground and everything is nice again. Almost.
Every day of this 3-day long hike, I was asking myself, what did I sign up for it? I think that every day I had something that made me regret it a bit. It was most of all physical. My body was hurting me a lot, but then I was really glad I did it. But every day I had a moment when I was thinking, why did I sign up for this?
The hardest part was really the limit of my body that I didn't expect. It was so hard to walk, and I had so many blisters on my foot. It was terrible, and I hadn't expected this because I thought I was sporty enough, but not at all.
On day 3, we had the least kilometers that we did during those 3 days, but we woke up so sore. Really, our feet were hurting so much, almost like the night before. This night of rest felt like it was useless. So it was very hard to keep going, but of course we did it. But we took more breaks than before. We took breaks every 5 kilometers because that day we had only 16. I don't know if it was a good idea to do that because sometimes, for example, the first 5 kilometers, I'm sure we could have kept going, but because we had said that, we did that break and then it was so hard to start again. So I don't know if it was smart, but anyway, it worked for us at that time. And then we went through super pretty landscape, those fields of what they called pré-salé. So it means the salted grass because the water comes and it's salty, and then the grass is growing and some sheep are eating that grass, and it's a special meat that you can find there. It was so pretty to have those sheep in front of the Mont Saint Michel, and so it helped to move forward. But at some point, Lison could really not do it anymore, so we stopped and we talked and we thought about something else.
I think that the hardest moment was the last day. I was suffering from my ankle and my knee, so I was limping a bit, and so it was a bit hard. And I think that it was also hard for myself to not knowing if I was going to make it, because I was seeing the Mont Saint Michel so close, but I was really suffering.
And then we went again, but Arthur took her bag, which I think is really impressive because we were all so tired, and he took 2 bags and he walked until the end, until we arrived at our final destination.
I didn't have so many hard moments. It was more when the others were suffering that I was feeling bad and I wanted them to like the trip.
Lison almost gave up, but I'm so happy that she didn't because we were so close to our destination. Arriving at the Mont felt surreal. It was finally what we were walking towards for 3 days, and there it was, and it's so majestic.
We saw so much beautiful things. The landscapes were incredible, like between the sea, the Mont Saint Michel. So it was really cool, and I think we had so much fun. We laughed a lot.
It was amazing, and we arrived in a place where there were so many people because we had been alone almost for 3 days on the road. And there we were in a super busy area with a lot of people around, some tourists, and our campsite was really at the bottom of the Mont Saint Michel, so it was the best place ever. We just put our tent and we bought some food. It was so good compared to what we had eaten for 3 days. It felt really rewarding. We spent the afternoon chilling, resting a bit, and then we went on the Mont for the sunset. It was so pretty. Really, it was so worth it. It was also so peaceful after all the pain we were in. For some, it might not seem like a huge distance, but you have to realize that for us, it was the first time we were doing something like this. Even in my life, I did some hikes, but never really long ones and never over several days. So really, it was a big deal. We were really beginners and carrying heavy bags. It was a challenge for us, and I'm really happy we did it. For me, it was also a glimpse of what trekking in Nepal might be like, but honestly, it scared me because it was so hard, and it was only 3 days without any uphill. So it was just flat, and I suffered so much. So it was a bit scary, but also at the same time motivating to prepare better and to train more and more and more. That hike also taught me a lot about endurance, that pain doesn't just stop when you rest. Sometimes you have to keep walking through it. It taught us so much about resilience. I learned to detach and just focus on the task ahead. That was just walking. And that was all. And my head was so empty.
I was going through a hard time at work, and I think it made me really clear my mind, and I could have a fresh start at work and in my life at this moment.
And beyond the hiking, I also loved what it did for us as friends. It brought us so much closer. I was not close to Lison before, and that experience is just so bonding. We lived through pain and happiness and so many emotions in such a short time frame that we are so much closer now. Spending 3 days together through so many emotions. If you want to get close to someone, you should try it.
It was interesting to do something like that with other people, because I think I'm more of a known person, but doing it together, it pushes you towards your limits. And so I think I would have never been able to do it if I was alone. I would have stopped it way before the end because I would have listened to me and stopped it.
It also brought us closer and showed us how we could support each other and that no one ever left anyone behind.
I think it was beneficial for our friendship because it's been a long time that we spend that type of quality time together, and by doing something that different, I was really glad to share it with you, and I'm sure we'll do something like that again. And yes, it was a really good experience to share with you. We stepped out from our comfort zone. We loved. It was in a really beautiful place. So yes, it was a really good time.
Now we completely forgot about the pain. I was talking with Monten last week and we were like, yeah, we forgot about all this. Let's do it again.
I would definitely do it 1,000 times again because it was incredible. Even if most of the parts I wasn't happy. No, that's not true, but there were moments very difficult. But it was funny, the landscapes were amazing. It was great to see you in a moment that I hadn't seen before. Like I saw you marry very Rick. I really enjoyed spend those moments with you. It was a really great experience, and I really want to continue to do this, like maybe once or twice a year.
I think I would do it again, but I think that the next time I will be more involved in the making of the hike.
Yes, I would, and I will next year. I think we will do a longer hike. At the beginning, we wanted to do Grenoble-Chambéry, but it was too hard for the first time. But I think next year we will do it, and it will be really cool.
Well, I thank you, my friends, for sending me those voice notes to help to have more texture to this episode and to see also the feelings of everyone about this hike. And thank you for listening. I hope you ever have the chance to do something like that. Even if it's painful, it's so worth it. Well, thank you and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.